With the entry of the 5th day of Ramadan, the Muslim has begun to settle on a certain pattern of worship and obedience, but it is important not to be slack or reduce the effort in worship. This day represents a continuation of the race towards forgiveness and mercy, and it is necessary to seize it with the best deeds and acts of obedience that bring the Muslim closer to Allah Almighty. 1. Renewing the intention and sincerity in work. Sincerity is the spirit of worship, so the more a Muslim renews his intention to Allah in his fasting, prayer and worship, the more likely it is to be accepted by Allah. The Prophet said, "Actions are only by intentions, and each person will have but what he intended, agreed upon." Therefore, the Muslim should intend that his entire day be spent in obedience to Allah, whether through direct worship or through ordinary daily actions intended for the sake of Allah. 2. Performing the Fajr prayer on time. The Fajr prayer has great merit, especially in Ramadan, and whoever maintains it will be in the protection and care of Allah. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Whoever prays Fajr is under the protection of Allah," narrated by Muslim. After performing the prayer, it is recommended to sit in the mosque or in a quiet place to recite the supplications and some of the Quran. 3. Increase the recitation of the Holy Quran. The month of Ramadan is the month of the Quran, and it is the best time to increase recitation and contemplation. Allah Almighty said, "The month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed," Al-Baqarah, 185. It is recommended that a Muslim make a fixed daily portion of recitation for himself, so that he can complete the Quran once or more during the blessed month. 4. Maintain the Duha prayer. The Duha prayer is one of the recommended sunnahs, and it has great merit in bringing sustenance and blessings. The Prophet, Pbuh, said, "Every joint of any one of you must give charity every morning. Every utterance of glory be to God is a charity, every utterance of praise be to God is a charity, every utterance of there is no God but God is a charity, every utterance of the God is great is a charity, enjoining what is right is a charity, forbidding what is wrong is a charity, and 2 rak'ahs of prayer performed in the forenoon suffice for that." Narrated by Muslim. 5. Increase remembrance of God and seeking forgiveness. Remembrance of God is one of the easiest and most rewarding acts of worship, especially in Ramadan. A Muslim can say a lot of glory be to Allah and praise be to Him. Glory be to Allah the Almighty, there is no God but Allah alone, He has no partner, His is the kingdom and His is the praise, and He is over all things omnipotent. O Allah, you are the pardoner and you love to pardon, so pardon me. Allah the Almighty said, "And for men who remember Allah often, and for women who remember, Allah has prepared forgiveness and a great reward." Al-Ahzab, 35.6. Providing iftar for those who are fasting and giving charity. One of the greatest deeds in Ramadan is providing iftar for those who are fasting, as the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "Whoever provides iftar for a fasting person will have a reward like his, without that detracting from the reward of the fasting person in the slightest," narrated by Al-Tirmidhi. Iftar meals can be provided to the needy, or you can participate in charity tables. 7. Diligent in supplication. Supplication is one of the great acts of worship, especially when breaking the fast, as the fasting person has a supplication that is not rejected. It is recommended that a Muslim supplicate for himself, his family, and the Islamic nation, and ask Allah for forgiveness, mercy, and acceptance. 8. Taraweeh prayer and continuing to perform the night prayers. Taraweeh prayer is one of the most important acts of worship in Ramadan, and continuing to perform it helps the Muslim to remain steadfast in worship. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever performs the night prayers during Ramadan out of faith and in the hope of reward, his previous sins will be forgiven." Bukhari and Muslim. 9. Maintaining family ties and communicating with relatives. Maintaining family ties is one of the acts of worship that Allah loves, and it increases blessings in life and livelihood. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever loves to have his provision expanded and his life extended, let him maintain family ties." Bukhari. A Muslim can take advantage of Ramadan to communicate with family and relatives, whether by visiting or calling. 10. Itikaf, even for a short period if possible, spending time in the mosque to worship and draw closer to Allah, even for a short period, is one of the recommended actions in Ramadan, especially in the last 10 days of the month. Conclusion. The 5th day of Ramadan is an opportunity to continue to perform acts of worship and strengthen our connection with Allah. By renewing our intention, maintaining our prayers and remembrance, reciting the Quran frequently, and giving charity, a Muslim can greatly benefit from this blessed month. Let us all strive to seize every moment in Ramadan in a way that pleases Allah.